I'm here with Melissa Fulmore Hardwick, who is the president of Brown Girls in the Boardroom. Welcome.
Yes, thank you so much.
So what is it that you do?
Well, so by day, I'm a CIO. And anytime after that, well, in fact, all of my life, I've been a Brown girl. And so I founded, and am the executive director of Brown Girls in the Boardroom.
Okay.
So my life is consumed between the two of them.
So Brown Girls in the Boardroom sounds like something that started as a mission, right, to have an impact on work that perhaps or areas that you felt were lacking, right? So tell us about it.
Absolutely. I started getting into this good trouble about 15 years ago. I come from a family of servant leaders, and so serving our community has certainly not been anything that I've been lacking. And so in my career, I found as I've just been blessed to excel in corporate America that I looked around the room about 3 or 4 years ago, was in an executive meeting and looked around the room and said, you know what? Not very many people in this room look like me. And what can you do, Melissa, to help influence that? And so literally it was as if I heard it clearly, almost audible, that you need to start a work in this. And Brown Girls in the Boardroom was formed as a result of that.
Okay, so now I'm thinking that when you say Brown Girls in the Boardroom, is something that you pass on information to other women of color, right? Black
That is
women
correct.
in particular, to help them become more, achieve in executive roles.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, we need a seat at the table, right? There are more creative ideas that are formed. We make good decisions in corporations when you have a great mix of, and you know this, right? The whole D&I concept speaks to this. But I think we have been underserved for far too long. And I started working with one of our local HBCUs and just saw the potential that these girls had, right? And it's not about wanting to be a reality show star. It's about what can I do with my God-given abilities to help influence and have a seat at the table. And so I realized very quickly that there was a lacking in things like emotional intelligence, right? And the corporate presence. How do I go and get good jobs, still be my authentic self, but maybe I don't go to work with tattoos all over my face and green and blue hair. Maybe the corporate job that I'm after doesn't think that I represent them in that space. And so just trying to help these young girls, once they graduate, they're walking around with good degrees and are certainly earning less than what they are capable of earning. So just trying to saturate that space with other brown women that have done well. Now I say in the boardroom, but the boardroom could be a hair salon, right? Whatever your choice is as a brown girl, how do we help these girls really walk in the confidence that they can be all that they are intended to be?
Mm-hmm. Now, as a black man in particular, I concede that women mature faster
Oh,
than
absolutely.
men.
Hands
right?
down.
So you are typically, women are ready.
Sure.
They're more ready. They're ready faster, right? They're in a position to pursue their profession, and so you're trying to reach them at a young age, right, where they can find tools to fine-tune their path to success.
Absolutely.
So and so, where have you been finding that you see the most opportunity to find these young ladies and to impact their lives?
Well, certainly our African American churches is one avenue. I spoke earlier about the opportunity that we found at our local HBCU here in Jacksonville. It was amazing to see how some of these girls started off. We were able to offer them internships, jobs, and I'm talking about at the elbow type of mentoring. This ain't no, okay, we'll mentor you from afar. No, this is, women getting in their face and saying, no, this is not going to work. This is not acceptable at work. You need to change your behavior, or the attitude that you carry or you're displaying may not necessarily be acceptable in this culture. So we're finding them in our churches, in organizations, right? Sororities. There is no lack of women. And it's interesting because you'd be surprised at how many of these young girls just don't know. First generation college students, they know they want a degree. They know they want something better, but they don't even know once they graduate how to walk into a job with a great resume, how to sit up and have a conversation with somebody by looking them in their eyes, And so we're just trying to make sure that they have that confidence and know that, why not me?
Yeah. So I'm often kind of reflecting on when I was a young man.
Sure.
That things I take for granted now that I did not know,
Sure.
right? And some of those things that surprised me that that I sort of take for granted now. That just kind of go, wow, I can't believe I was that, naive, right? Some of the stories that you hear, some of the things that you think that trip women up, young ladies up, most often. What are those?
This is who I am. I don't want to be fake. I like the way I look. I like the way I dress. Why do I have to change for them? Right? I am who I am. I know I'm smart. Why can't they accept me the way that I am? Well, once you start your own business, you can operate in that space. But while you are representing a company or an organization, some type of entity, there are rules. And so, unfortunately, until you get your own, you're going to have to play by the rules. But all too often you hear, I just want to be myself. I just want to be authentic. Well, you can bring your authentic self wherever you go, but still operating in some guidelines. Make that pop. Go inside the guidelines and still be your authentic self. Find a way to be different and to stand out with your smart, intelligent, beautiful brown self. Find a way to make that pop in ways that don't necessarily have to mimic things that are outside of what I would say guidelines, right? When you accept a job and you decide I want to go work for a corporation, they got a standard, right? And so if they don't feel like you're operating in the, and I'm not saying by any means let people put you in this box, but I'm saying there's a way that we all conduct ourselves. And so what you hear just more often than not is, I can't be real. Why can't I wear my, long eyelashes out to here and my, pointed red, green, and yellow fingernails? And I have nothing against that stuff. But I just know that what we hear more often than not is they won't let me be myself. Right. And so we just got to teach them that you can still be beautiful and be yourself without going outside.
So what has the traditional corporate environment or structures had to say about the work that you're doing? Have you connected or made relationships with organizations that said, we appreciate what you're doing, thank you, because we found someone and we just thought she needed to be a little more polished and we didn't know how to deal with it?
Absolutely. And they don't, right? They label us the minute we, I'll say clap back, as the young people say, it's that we are angry black women or we have an attitude problem, right? But it's really pent up frustration that I really want to give y'all my best, but y'all don't understand me. It's almost like the same thing you hear in our schools with our little brown kids, right? And nobody wants to take the extra time to deal with that. So they want you to come ready, right? I'm paying you a check every 2 weeks and I want you to represent us. And so organizations are, just absolutely loving this model because we number one, half of the organizations around here, right, in this Jacksonville area don't have diversity at the top like they should. And so if there's an organization out there that can help groom these minority women and they come ready, they check a box in their organization. And guess what? We got some brown girls that's at the table that's helping to make decisions. That'll help influence the next generation of brown girls.
So how do you help them navigate the perception of angry black woman?
Listen, there's this thing called emotional intelligence, and I don't think we give it enough credit. It has totally changed my career. And that is simply just knowing how to communicate in a way that you get what you want at the end of this engagement, right? And I think that our young black girls aren't taught that, right? When they don't feel comfortable with something, we get an attitude, we go in, right? And not all the time is it an attitude, it's our passion, but it gets misconstrued as an attitude. And so we're doing a lot of work in that space, emotional intelligence, knowing how to conduct yourself in any situation. You don't have to agree, right? How do you communicate back something professionally by not agreeing? They don't know how to do that. And so we're trying to do that type of work, change management work. How do you change the dynamics of your environment? And simply, I can't tell you, we did professional headshots for about 50 girls last year. And to see their selfie profile pictures on LinkedIn turn into professional headshots, you'd be surprised at something as simple as that. So yeah, lots of work to do.
So what are you working on right now that you consider to be a big project that the community needs to know about that and could probably particularly help with?
Sure. So on the 18th of September, we are basically kicking off, we've not been able to get together. So we've done lots of Zoom calls in terms of what's your personality? How do you professionally work with different types of people? And on the 18th of September, we're going to try and come together in a venue that's outside. I'm certainly going to practice CDC guidelines, but we are going to run some assessments. I talked about this emotional intelligence piece. We're going to do some mock interviews. And a lot of these girls are still in college. Some of them just entered their career. So we're doing what we're calling a level up session for how do you level up on your career. And so we'll be doing mock interviews. We'll be talking about their personality types, and we'll be doing a lot of teaching on emotional intelligence.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
Melissa Fulmore Hardwick, thank you very much for joining us, and we
Thank
appreciate you being here.
Thanks for your time.